now let's have a look at the Coed All-Americans. We've got up to 18 full All-American spots and 25 total between All-Americans and honorable mentions. First, though, Chris, let's have a look at the College Sailor of the Year candidates.
Well, Eric, this year I think we've got a really fun race. You know, we had a poll about halfway through the year. Who do you think it's going to be? And our three candidates were Charlie Buckingham, Tyler Sinks, and Michael Menninger. And you know what? We've had kind of a shift, I think, from fall to spring. And so this year, I think I'm going to actually change up the names on the list. Michael Menninger, great sailor, has taken the St. Mary's team from 0 to 60 very quickly. But his record really does not stand up to these other three. You've got Charlie Buckingham still in there. Tyler Sinks, still a very solid sailor from BC. And then you've got Cy Thompson, who has just turned on the switch this spring. I think you would be crazy not to include him in this discussion. Very difficult decision, and I think it's definitely going to hinge on nationals.
I would agree, Chris, and a couple things going in there. First of all, two of the people you mentioned, Charlie Buckingham and Cy, first and second at the single-handed. Their Tyler, Charlie, and Cy's teams in team racing are arguably all in the top three, for sure in the top four in the country. They're the leaders of those teams. And I think a lot of it's going to come down to nationals. It'll be interesting to see. First of all, Breezy in the Gorge. Cy might have a little bit of an edge there for sure over Tyler. Maybe not Charlie as much, but it'll be fun to watch.
All right, and then you've got the other what we call shoe-ins. I mean, Michael Menninger for sure. He's got to be just outside that discussion. He's an automatic All-American. I mean, just look at his record here. The guy is hardly ever falters. Next, you've got BC's B Division sailor Taylor Canfield, also the ICSA match racing national champion. First time ever.
Yeah, and then a hard-working Harvard team, the leader of that team, you got Alan Palmer. He very often gets it done in A right there. Fred Strammer, again, just below that top group from Brown. Jackson Benvenuti leading a relatively young Charleston team.
Then take a look maybe further down the list, but I think definitely All-American material as well. Robert Van from Navy, the second in line of the Van dynasty that Navy's got going on. Joe Morris, I think pretty disappointing season, and that's not too cruel to say. I think anybody who has been following the Yale team will agree, but I think still good enough probably for All-American, but we are getting to that breaking point.
Yeah, that's right, Chris. We're getting to the breaking point. You got to start really thinking about how you weigh A division versus B division. How do you evaluate team racing? You know, if you're looking at the second guy on a very top team, or maybe the first guy on a team that's in the middle of the pack, it's tough to assess. But around that break, you might have John Stokes, second guy on Harvard. You see, obviously, a lot of really good B division finishes. One or two A division finishes in there. Very solid team racing team, though they will not be at nationals. That might hurt him a little bit. Alec Anderson from Roger Williams really turned it on lately. Just crushed B division at the breezy New England champs. Again, that could help him out at the Gorge.
Scott Fernari, part of that B division team from Georgetown with an ACC win. Pretty much the second sailor on their team racing team. I think you have to include him. Annie Hager, I think definitely, possibly All-American, possibly honorable mention here in Coed. A big part of not only team racing, but also some of the Coed dinghy racing for BC.
Yeah, and then some other potential honorable mentions we got here. Mac Mace from Charleston had a few very good B division finishes, and obviously on that team race team that's been near the top, if not at the top, all season. Steph Roble, we mentioned how she almost does better in the co-ed A division than the women's A division, or close to it finish-wise. And David Thompson leading that Hobart squad.
Now we're starting to run out of awards here. Again, we have to be looking for that breaking point. So a few more sailors that I think definitely have a shot. Their resumes will be in the pile, but we're not sure exactly where they're going to get sorted. You've got Clark Hayes, B Division for Navy, who's been a little bit up and down, but pretty valuable player. Another one, Amy Hawkins in that group. We've, the third female in the discussion for a Coed award for URI. Very valuable when it counts.
Yeah, and then potentially the Rookie of the Year, if there were such an award, Will Hager at Tufts. He's really put that team on his back, so to speak, and helped out a lot. We'll see if it was enough for the award. And then a few other names just that I'm sure the committee will be looking at. You got Teddy Himmler, third for Harvard, Zeke Horowitz, Sam Bluen, Megan McGill, again, another woman in the discussion, Chris Barnard, Colin Smith from Brown, and Mateo Vargas came from Stanford and had a few very, very good finishes on the East Coast.
Yeah, the West Coast has been left out of these awards for the past 3 years. I don't think they've had one since 2007, but we may see it this year. We may have to wait till next year. Nationals will certainly help.